It was announced on 8chan, live streamed on Facebook, it was replayed on YouTube, commented on Reddit, many other websites. It was available hours after the attack. What, if anything, are companies doing to stop the dissemination of hatred?
This video will explain the operation of the new scheme that was introduced into the Criminal Code Amendment Sharing of Abhorrent Violent Material Act 2019. This video will step through the context to which the Act was created, the intention and target of the offences, the penalties and defences at play, and the considerations and content covered in addition to how the Act was received. Having been noted as Australian social media takedown law, the Criminal Code Amendment Sharing of Abhorrent Violent Material Act 2019 was passed by Parliament on the 5th of April and commenced on the 6th of April of this year. This was established as a direct response to the Christchurch massacre of 50 people that happened on the 15th of March. This Act looks to create new offences under the Criminal Code Act and requires social media platforms, other websites and providers to reactively remove abhorrent violent material and refer such material to the Australian Federal Police. The intent of this Act is to provide as a preventative to online social platforms being weaponised for the purpose of spreading violent and dangerous propaganda. This amendment also is intended to complement the Broadcasting Services Act 1992, which included existing takedown and referral procedures for online content. The Act targets content services, hosting services, and internet service providers, despite whether they are located inside or outside Australia. There are severe criminal penalties for those who fail to remove abhorrent violent material. If an individual is found guilty of failing to remove this material, the maximum penalty is a fine of $2.1 million or a term of no more than 3 years imprisonment. For corporates, the penalty is $10.5 million or 10% of their international annual turnover. What is considered is not the standard of intent, but instead is recklessness. Also, there is a reverse onus, so if the Safety Commissioner notifies a platform that the contents on their site is of abhorrent material, there's a reversed onus, meaning that it is on the platform to establish that they have not been reckless. Abhorrent violent material has a statutory definition that embodies audio-visual or audio-visual content produced by the perpetrator that a reasonable person would consider offensive in the circumstances. Abhorrent violent conduct is defined to mean murder or attempted murder, a terrorist act, torture, rape, or kidnapping. There is no requirement that the person needs to be convicted of an offence in order for their conduct to constitute abhorrent violent conduct. There are a number of defences under this Act. The new offences will not apply to various categories of material, including journalistic content reported in the public interest, artistic works, material used for research, or material made available for the purpose of advocating social or political change. This piece of legislation has been the target of ample criticism by the technology sector and the Law Council of Australia, partially due to the lack of consultation from the Australian tech industry and the haste of which this amendment was passed. The Act requires social media sites to remove and report abhorrent violent material, which applies to content reasonably capable of being accessed. Non-compliance will lead to severe penalties. However, defences may be available. This is also a part of the global trend of regulating activities on online platforms. It can be paralleled to the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission's Digital Platforms Inquiry and the UK's Online Harm White Paper that proposes various measures to stop the sharing of abhorrent content online.